Good morning and welcome to this morning's service on July 18th, 2021. You are probably wondering who I am. My name is Kent and I have come to help my uncle in this morning service. Actually, I'm visiting Sensei with my family and I'm from the OCBC Sister Temple. Let's begin with this morning's service, beginning with the adornments. This morning's Osonaya is provided by the church's lovely fruit trees. You may have also noticed some additional adornments in the Obutudan as well. This will be followed by Kancho.
Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs. Naman Navs. Naman Nam, Naman Nam, Naman Nam, Naman Nam, Naman Nam, Naman Nam, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs.
We will now have the Gatha Arigato in English.
For Amita's love and compassion we receive, my heart overflows. flows with arigato. Arigato, flowers here, flowers there. Rainbow colors make my day warm with happiness. Arigato, birds are singing. Listen to the melodies, vigorous and full of life. Arigato, arigato. Let us live every day with arigato, and with one voice offer our thanks. For Amida smile like a beacon guiding us. My heart overflows with arigato. Arigato, friends so dear, friends so true. Thank you for this day which we share so happily. Arigato, rays of sunshine. Thank you for the light that shines brightly on my Dharma path. Arigato, arigato. For each day's precious moments, arigato. And with one voice offer our thanks.
We will now have the sutra chanting Sange followed by Sambutsuge by Reverend Miyagi.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Dabs, Naman Dabs, Naman Dabs, Naman Dabs, Naman Dabs. 오겐기기 이심무got 요새며 무여도샤 니치간마니 슈고엠뇨 가이십노 林、小学大音、トルジポ、開門精進、三昧知恵、意徳無量、修正見右、人体前年、小文崩壊、愚人人の不合外体、無明欲ぬ、生存読む、任のしし、人徳無量、空君広大、知恵人妙、光明一層、神道大仙、願がサブ、在所法、可動生じ、未不下段、不正上位、解任生じ、行税三昧、知恵以上、合成特物、不行志願、一切空空、一切大安、下死有物、百千の九万、無量大小、修行五弱、用一切、死と勝負、不尿具道、検証不逆、異尿五弱、勝分世界、不不可け、無修戦の光明師匠、変死小国尿税精進、偉人難病、両がサブ、国土第一号種奇妙、道場超絶国尿内音、任務闘争、加藤愛民、道断日祭、実法来生、新年症状、意図が国、下落安の公文神妙、税が神聖、本願の日、力少々欲実法生存、知恵無下、上領子孫、知が神行、軽量心死、食毒中、画行精進、忍術不敬。ナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナム願にしく毒平等性一切道本もな Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandavs, 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 namandavs.
We will now have the Dharma message by Reverend Miyagi.
Please join me in Gasho. Shakyamuni Buddha states the following in the larger sutra, quote, however, the most difficult of all difficulties is to hear this sutra and accept it with the entrusting heart. Nothing surpasses this difficulty. Therefore, I have thus presented the Dharma, excuse me, thus preached it, and thus taught it. You should accept it in trust and practice in accord with it, end quote. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs, Naman Navs. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and watching this service on YouTube, as I'm currently guest speaking for the Los Angeles Betsuing. And this year of COVID, as I kind of reflect back on it, it's brought a lot of question marks and many concerns and uncertainties. And it's hard for us to figure out when it's okay to kind of give each other hugs or handshakes and that kind of thing. And so as we get vaccinated, we have to kind of reacclimate ourselves to these customs that we had before. But one thing, I think that's been great is the fact that we're all online now. And if you asked me 2 years ago whether I would be, posting up YouTube videos, I think I would have told you that I would have definitely not have done that. But I think at this point, there's no turning back now. So from here on out, there would be some kind of hybrid version moving forward from here on out. Just to give you an example, my podcast, I've been doing a podcast and it seems to be doing kind of well. I've been getting some viewers from all over the world, places like, France and Germany, England, Portugal, India, and Brazil. And so I'm very happy about this situation. And this would have never been possible if I had not been online. So for that, I'm very grateful for this opportunity, despite the fact that I'm still very, self-conscious about myself and wary of all the comments that come and these kinds of things. I feel like I'm the biggest phony because in front of the camera, I have to be a certain way, but off camera, I'm like a different person, right? And so, well, my wife can tell you all about that, but I'm a completely different person, right? And so, but I think that's all the more reason why Jodo Shinshu is a very humbling and as well as a comfortable teaching for me because I feel like I can be myself, my true self through the teaching of Jodo Shinshu. So that's kind of something that I learned. Today, I wanted to talk about the significance of why we do Sunday services. Why is it that we do Sunday services on a weekly basis? That seems very redundant, and after a while it gets very boring. It's very easy to fall asleep during the services, and I completely understand that. I used to be that when I was in junior YBA too. I used to hate going to services. I never understood the point of these things, and just going through the customs, I think it was very boring for me as a young person. In Japan, there aren't weekly services. Weekly services are actually very rare to do in Japan. The reason why BCA temples here in America, the Buddhist churches of America, these temples that here in America do a weekly Sunday service is a direct influence from our Christian friends who have Sunday services. And I think we've implemented and taken on that custom when Buddhism came over here. So in Japan, they mainly do memorial services
that are on a monthly basis or funerals that happen occasionally. So there aren't many temples that have weekly services that are conducted. And that's not to say that these temples are not busy. They're extremely busy, but because they do memorial services on a consistent basis, and they go to homes, they go to grave sites, right? And not to mention the funerals that they have to do frequently. So then why, again, do we do weekly services? Is it out of a habit? Is it out of a custom? But actually the answer is those aren't the answers. And I'd like to talk to you about why we do them. And I want to share with you something that I saw on Facebook, which I think many of you have seen, and I thought it was an interesting quote, so I wanted to share it with you today. And it reads, quote, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make your time for your illness. Okay, so I'll read that one more time. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. That was a very witty quote, and I'm sure some of you have seen that one. What I'm pretty sure this quote is referring to directly is that if you don't take the time to take preventative measures in your health, such as exercising or eating the right foods, right? And if you don't do this on a consistent basis, then over time we will grow unhealthy until we reach a point where we are stricken with a serious illness. At that time, we will then be forced to deal with our serious illness, and then we will not be able to do the things that we want to do. But I think, we can expand this to other things like our mental health. This also would probably apply to our spiritual well-being, our spiritual health as well. If we don't take the time out to think about the meaning of life and about the direction we are going in life, the people we love and care about, and who we are in general as an identity, then we will not be taking care of ourselves, our spiritual selves. If we keep this up, then eventually we will be forced to reckon with our illness. So actually, from a Jyotishinshu perspective, we are all already stricken with this illness, right? We just haven't come to that realization yet. It's like, we're carrying the virus, but because we don't show any symptoms right now, we don't think that we are sick, but really we are sick. We are sick with blind passions and egocentricity. Many critics of Buddhism say that this religion is very pessimistic and very a negative religion. It only looks at the bad things in life, right? They criticize Buddhism for only looking at life negatively. But that isn't the case, right? Buddhism isn't negative, it's realistic, right? People who deny Buddhism's truth refuse to see themselves as sick. It is the same with the people who don't believe they had the coronavirus because they are asymptomatic, but really they were carrying the virus and passing it on, in fact, right? So returning back to my original point, Buddhism says we are all sick. We are all sick. But we have to recognize that while we can. Right now, we have to recognize that. And the way to recognize our illness is through listening to the Buddha Dharma, right? The message of Amida Buddha's great compassion. And it is through this message that we can see the true state of the human condition and see our true selves as it is. And when we come to see this true self, we see that the Buddha Dharma embraces us as we are, right? So that's why we have these weekly services, so that we can come together to listen to the Buddha's teaching. If we continue to deny our illness, we will come to a point where we will be utterly confused and create great suffering onto ourselves and onto others. We will not be able to understand what is causing our suffering. And as egocentric beings, we often lash out and point our fingers at other people and blame others for our misfortune and suffering. And we see this all the time. You just flip on the news, you'll see it all the time, right? We can't find jobs. It's the immigrants taking our jobs, right? We are having people mooching off of the government. It's the minorities who can't help themselves. Right? We see our society falling apart. It's the gays, right, that are causing this to happen, et cetera, et cetera. When we are not settled and are confused spiritually, we end up blaming and hurting others, which ultimately hurt ourselves because we will always be trying to fight something that isn't the real problem. The real problem is koko, right here, right? We really need this message here, I believe, in 21st century America. So why then do we go to Sunday services? It is so that we can take the time out to think about this life, where it is headed, what does this mean, who am I, and how do I become more grounded spiritually? This is myself included, of course, right? I have to take time out to hear the Buddha Dharma and hear the calling voice of Amida Buddha's great compassion. So the chanting, the gathas, the Dharma messages, the readings, the study classes, the social interaction amongst the Sangha, right? These are all things, the ways in which we engage in the Buddha Dharma. They're all equally important, and they are all getting us to open up our hearts and minds and to listen to the teachings of the Buddha. This is not an easy thing to do, right? And that's why it's hard to get many followers. It's hard to get many followers of this tradition or this religion because it takes time to come to this understanding and to understand the importance of this teaching. It's only after many experiences and seeing the connections that we can make to this teaching that we see the value in coming to hear and receive this teaching. But the temple will always be here, right? For it will have its doors open and always will welcome you. So let us continue to take the time to open our hearts, hear the Buddha's message of great compassion, and seek our spiritual wellness. Please join me in Gasho. Shakyamuni Buddha states the following in the larger sutra, quote, however, the most difficult of all difficulties is to hear this sutra and accept it with the entrusting heart. Nothing surpasses this difficulty. Therefore, I have thus presented the Dharma, thus preached it, and thus taught it. You should accept it in trust and practice in accord with it. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sensei, for the Dharma message. We will now have the reading Threefold Refuge, read by my sister, Olivia. Please join me in reading the Threefold Refuge on page 10. Difficult is it to receive a human form. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord, in harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teachings. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you so much, Olivia. We will now have the gata arigato in Japanese. We will now have announcements. Family service will be on Zoom next week on July 25th, 2021. August 1st is Shotsuki Hoyo. August 7th is cemetery visitations with the schedule on the Golden Chain newsletter. August 8th will be Hatsubon Urabon service. August 14th will be our online Obon event. Please tune in. This will conclude our morning service today, and we hope that everyone has a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed the service with myself and my family. Take care, everyone. Sensei, can you please lead us in closing gasho?
Sure. Thank you very much, Kent, and thank you very much, Olivia, for your participation. You did a fantastic job, and you're a great nephew and niece. And we have one more, Connor, too. Thank you very much for coming today. Appreciate it. Please join me in gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.